Time 15 minutes. Distance 0.68 miles. Average pace 22 minutes 04 seconds per mile.
Of course. A little bit less beaten path. Just a little bit. Let's see. Oh, look. That's poison ivy. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, look at this. A different trail. Wow. Oy. One of the disadvantages of wearing thonged socks, or socks and thongs as it were. Let's see. Although this is lovely to catch the sounds, I apologize for the steadiness of the camera. And evidently the Catawba River here in the upstate has a large outcropping also called
Time 20 minutes. Distance 0.81 miles. Average pace 24 minutes 32 seconds per mile.
Thank you to my application who is keeping track of where I am distance-wise. This lovely little river in the upstate is home to a fairly sizable stand, as I showed you in the graphic earlier, the marker of spider lilies. So, moving right along. You know, there are, and I know that my app is going to interrupt me in another 5 minutes to tell me where I am, but I wanted to share a couple of pieces with y'all in that some of the dynamics of the various members of the Trinity. Here we are at the 11-minute mark, and here I want to talk about the Lord. There are three members of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And they each carry on a number of distinct works that they do in the earth. The Father is best known for his giving. That passage in James 1:16 and 17 that talks about the face of the Father known as the Father of lights. And light being consistent and constant, it is a constant thing. You know, C in physics standing for the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. It's a constant. Well, one thing that I notice about the Father of lights, it says in that passage in James 1:16 and 17, it says every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, who has no variableness or shadow of turning, or as the NIV would say, who does not change like shifting shadows. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. The gift is given by the Father. And so Father, the giver that he is, the skillful, strategic, stewarding, managing giver that he is, wise giver. You know, to the only wise God, our Father, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forevermore. There is this dynamic about Father in his heart where he wants to give. And, you know, the greatest gift he gave was his son, Yeshua. But he gives gifts, you know. And he gives design and hardwiring, and he gives strategy, and he gives not just those things, but the gift of free will, the gift of opportunity, the gift of the color purple and blue, and the gift of baby blue and powder blue, and lilac and indigo, all shades of blue. And the oranges and the greens. And when you consider that most of creation is green and blue, it's because they're very pleasing to the eye, naturally by design. This is something my friend from college, David Ralston, pointed out. Most prominent color in creation is green, and the second most prominent color is blue.
Time 25 minutes. Distance 0.99 miles. Average pace 25 minutes 05 seconds per mile.
And part of what happens there is the Father not only wants to give us gifts, but he wants to give us strategic gifts, good gifts. He wants to give us gifts that'll last and not gifts that'll just fall apart in the midst of everything. He also wants to give us gifts that are pleasing to us, that he knows are pleasing to us because he made us and designed us. Which means the most prominent colors in all of creation are not going to be red and orange and yellow and purple. Those things are going to be colored as temporary things that happen in the fall and during sunsets. Like sunsets in Santa Monica and Malibu, which are among the prettiest in the world. And sunrises in Florida, of which there is no equal. And so he uses those as accent colors, and then things like the Berkshires in Western Mass that give off amazingly stupendous colors. New Hampshire, Vermont, the sugar maples that yield product for our flapjacks and waffles. Gifts. Cream from the cows for butter and milk and helado and any number of other things. The water, the springs, the mist, the springs, the boils that go up to water the face of the earth, the first of which was planted eastward in Eden by the gardener Yeshua and by his Father, who is the life giver and the giver of every good and perfect gift, including Yeshua. And then we come to Yeshua after recognizing the gifts. Oh, one thing else about nature and the blue and the green versus the other colors. This is why the lion's share of the colors during spring and summer and during the brunt of the year are greens and blues and not red, because red would get pretty irritating to look at after seeing this whole place carpeted in red or whatever the case permanently. The wavelength that comes off of green and blue is a lot more soothing than that coming off of red and yellow and orange. Which is why the ooh and the ahs of the leaf peeping is meant to occupy its place in the autumn. So then you come to Yeshua and, he is the member of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit that gives dominion, preserves us, and rescues us from the victim spirit. Father rescues us from the poverty spirit and the spirit of jealousy. And Yeshua gives us the groundwork by which we can execute the Great Commission in dominion as sons, because he was the firstborn of many brethren, firstborn from the dead. He is alive forevermore, the sound of many waters, Revelation chapter 1. Sound of many waters, there you go. The Lamb and the 144,000 singing in and over Jerusalem. That most beautiful of teacher cities. And he gives us dominion, keeps us from victimhood, shows us how to walk in authority, shows us how to possess those things, the mechanics that are necessary to us walking in our design and possessing our birthright that God has given us. Now, in that, he shed himself, his blood, and he suffered even death, even the death of the cross, so that God has highly exalted him above every other name, in heaven, on earth, or underneath the earth, in Sheol. So, As a
Time 30 minutes. Distance 1.21 miles. Average pace 24 minutes 38 seconds per mile.
And as a result of that, we are no longer victims or slaves, but we're friends, brothers of his, and sons of the Father. Beyond that, the Holy Spirit who gives honor, and honor is the capacity to recognize and celebrate design without respecting anyone or their opinion. The design that God gave is to be recognized and celebrated, because honor is for what you do, dignity is for who you are. And it's the Holy Spirit who gives honor for what we do after Father and Son give us dignity for who we are. And the capacity to honor comes from us being able to celebrate the God-given design of somebody and agreeing with whatever it is the Lord intended for us to have. So, dishonor is the inability or the refusal to celebrate design. So we talk about this dynamic of honoring parents, but let's reframe that a little bit. Honoring father and mother does not mean blindly obeying everything they say. It means walking in your design as the Lord celebrates you, as if your mother and father also celebrated that, which might mean we end up disobeying what our parents told us to do because we have to obey God rather than man. And it means we walk in it regardless of whether or not they celebrate it. So the best way you can honor your parents, God designed your parents to celebrate your design. And if they go against celebrating your design, then they're going against the will of God. So true honor of parents comes down to your capacity to find out and celebrate and walk in and execute on the design He's given you. That is what brings honor, because that will bring honor to your parents in the kingdom and in eternity. So it's a little bit tricky because we have to consider what they're actually doing to us versus what they would do and how they would react to us if they actually celebrated who we were. That's the trick of honor. The difference between what God intended and what is actually happening, and doing what God intended regardless of what is actually happening. So we find what we were made to do on this earth, and we go and do that so that we come alive. And ultimately, if our parents will listen to the Lord, or those that we treated as authorities are listening to the Lord, eventually they'll come around, hopefully, and celebrate, as my mother did. She celebrates what I was made to do, but it also required me to bring correction to both my brother and some other people around me, and maybe speak lovingly to, my mother about some things, and bring in some of the Lord's reality to those sorts of things. And as a response to that, when I get out of line, my mother is one of the first to bring correction and say, hey, you're not walking what the King asked you to do. You know what you're designed to do. Go do that. So that when I get out of whack, I have a loving mother who can speak correction from the position of the Lord. And then I can get back on the track
Time 35 minutes. Distance 1.42 miles. Average pace 24 minutes 35 seconds per mile.
And honor the king's purposes, because now my mother recognizes them. And I think on some level she always did, but it's much more keen and specific now. And now that my brother's walking his design, he too speaks correction as he needs to, and encouragement, edification, exhortation, and consolation. And there's occasional correction that is needed, when I get off beat or whatever the case. And I also have friends that do this as well. So I'm noticing these three gifts repeatedly: life, dominion, and honor. And it's almost like honor is the electricity and the power lines, and the dominion is the earth-moving equipment that goes before to ready the land for the power lines. And the life is all of the assets gathered together to get ready for the project. So those are some random thoughts as I'm here on my hike in Landsford Canal State Park. And I wanted to give you some perspective. And I apologize for my application bombarding us with timestamps. So, love you guys very much and very deeply. And I'll talk to y'all again soon.